Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm sure a lot of you guys know, I've mentioned it several times in several videos previously, but I am working on a Viserai themed Iron Man armor. It's going to be mostly like Viserai's armor, but it's going to have the Arc Knight Shard is going to be the Arc Reactor. I thought that was really clever. And then the faceplate, I'm going to have it open up kind of like an Iron Man helmet. And then I'm going to model the Grasp of the Arc Knights for the gauntlets, and I'm gonna have the Rune Chant symbol on on the I'm gonna have the repulsor, light in the middle, and have the Rune Chant symbol on it. It's gonna be so sick. I'm gonna have lights in the gauntlets and then in the chest plate and everything. It's gonna be so sick. I'm working on it. I've started modeling the helmet. I'm gonna do like a time lapse recording video for that probably and upload that for me modeling it. Actually, I have. I hope it's still in one piece. Yeah, it is. So I've been working on some of my other Iron Man armors, and I've got the helmet. One of my helmets. I have a couple Iron Man helmets now, but one of them. So I motorized it and added lights and everything. And yes, it does fit my head. It's pretty good. The hinge is on just ever so slightly crooked, so you can kind of see the gap right there. So I've got to work on that. But yeah, I'm really proud of how it came out so far. It's pretty cool. But this is what I intend on doing with the Viserai helmet as well, is putting lights and motors and everything in it. So there's that. But while I was looking at some of the card art for references for modeling the armor and everything, I got inspired to make a video on Viserai. So I think there's Viserai and rune blades in general have some of the coolest mechanics, some of the most hard to comprehend mechanics, some of the just absolutely really weird interactions, and I don't think people understand fully how some of this stuff works. So I kind of wanted to touch on some of my favorite cards. So this is just an example deck I made. I don't know how competitively viable it would be. I definitely put some meme stuff in here, like Bloodspell Invocation. Don't run this card; it's bad. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited to play this card. I'm gonna after I finish recording this video, I'm gonna do some gameplay on Flesh and Blood Online with this and see it. Just do some testing. But I imagine I'll probably do some heavy changes to the deck. So. But I'll put the deck list down below if anybody's interested in giving this a shot. The equipment loadout is pretty straightforward. You're probably going to run this pretty much every time you run this deck. So you got your Crown of Dichotomy. This is here for Runeblade. Arcane Barrier against Runeblades, but mostly against Wizards. Crown of Providence is a new kind of newcomer on the block. Grasp of the Arc Knight, also very good here. This is just your defensive helmet because you don't want to be blocking with cards from hand a lot of time because this is a very aggro-centric deck. Tunic, phenomenal card. It's just the best chest equipment you have. Aether Ironweave is decent if you are planning on doing really long turns. But Tunic is really great because every 3 turns you're going to get a resource, and you can use that resource for the MVP card of the deck, which is Spellbound Creepers. And we'll touch on that in a sec. Grasp of the Arc Knight, it's mostly here for the block. It blocks essentially 3 without blowing up. And then you can pay 2 into it to create a Rune Chant token, which does matter sometimes. Gives you something to do on your turn if you don't have anything else to do, I guess. And it costs an additional 1 to activate for each Rune Chant you control. So most of the time, it's just going to kind of be the start of your turn. If you have 1 extra resource, so a lot of the attack action cards in this deck are going to be discounted by however many Rune Chants you have. So, if you have 4 resources or something for Amplify the Arc Knight, and you don't want the 1 to go to waste, you can spend the 2 effectively preventing that 1 from going to waste. So spend 2 to create a Rune Chant, which will then discount this card by 1. It's stuff like that. But most of the time, it's just here for blocks. We'll touch on Vexing Quillhand first because Spellbound Creepers is gonna bleed into some of the other deck options and stuff. But Vexing Quillhand also here for Arcane Barrier. So in total, you're gonna have Crown of Dichotomy and then Vexing quill hand for Arcane Barrier 2. This is good against Rune Blades because Rosetta Thorne is, the highest arcane damage you're probably going to see. Rosetta Thorne and like Vexing Malice, for instance. So you can have Arcane Barrier 2. I mean, most of the time you're really only going to need Arcane Barrier 1. But it's good to have the Arcane Barrier 2. It does make a difference. I've lost to a Briar with Rosetta Thorne just because I only had Arcane Barrier 1 and they pulled something out of their butt to get to Arcane Damage across. And then Spellbound Creepers. You are going to run this in almost every single game. This card is the best card in this deck. It enables so many different cool things. There's so many cool, like, small little interactions with it that just... It's such a complicated card, and I mean that in a good way. There's so many little things. Like, when you first read the card, you don't think about some of the interactions, right? So, if you're unfamiliar with the card, it's a legendary leg equipment from Tales of Aria. And it has 1 block and Blade Break. So if you block, it blocks for a value of 1, but then it blows up and you can't use it anymore. It has a once per turn instant. You can pay 1 and put a bind counter on Spellbound Creepers. You may play your next non-attack action card this turn as though it were an instant. Activate this ability only if you have attacked or defended with an attack action card this turn. And at the beginning of your end phase, destroy this card unless you have dealt arcane damage this turn equal to greater than the number of bind counters on Spellbound Creepers. So you really want to be keeping that bind count down to like 1 or 2. So really only use it when you really need to, but it is a resource. It is there for you to use. If you're gonna lose a lot of tempo by blowing them up, or by not blowing. If you're gonna lose a bunch of tempo, by not using them, and you're afraid to use them because they're gonna blow up, you're still better off blowing these up and maintaining tempo. So. Sorry, that was a little bit of a mouthful, but this card is really cool. So one thing that is a very key interaction that you need to know about Spellbound Creepers, and this is the main use for this card, if you have a non-attack action that does not have Go Again, so for instance, Consuming Volition, and you have a non-attack action card that has Go Again, so for instance, Become the Arc Knight. Both instances of Become the Arc Knight has Go Again. If you play, you put your counter on Spellbound Creepers and you play your non-attack action card with Go Again at instant speed, that Go Again, with the way that they have reworded the rules, still refreshes an action. It still grants you an action point. So, basically, you can, at instant speed, give any of your attacks without Go Again if you have a non-attack action card that has Go Again on it. So that's really, like, first, it's kind of hard to comprehend, but that's the gist of it. And that's why Fandel Spring Tunic is kind of the best chest equipment for you to run, just because you can pay the 3 counters into the Spellbound Creepers and activate it for free. Very similar to using Storm Striders and Wizard, for instance. But let's look at some of the kind of core strategies of the deck. Also, another thing with Spellbound Creepers is it says attacked or defended with an attack action card this turn. So there's only one time that this really matters, I guess. So you can, well, there's a couple different times, I guess, but the cool interaction that I don't think anybody ever really talks about when they talk about Spellbound Creepers, and Viserai specifically, is Viserai says whenever you play a Runeblade card, if you've played another non-attack action card this turn, create a Rune Chant token. So I see a lot of people running Sync Belows instead of like Reduce to Rune Chant or one of the other Runeblade defense reaction cards. But if you block with a attack action card, if you block with an attack action card and then you activate Spellbound Creepers, play, for instance, Runeblade Incantation or something, and then you follow that up with Reduce to Rune Chant, you get the Viserai trigger off of this. That's so crazy. You can trigger Viserai off of a defense reaction. I don't think that's like the number one reason why you would run Spellbound Creepers, but just that enabling that ability is just really cool. So you'll create 2 Rune Chant tokens from playing Reduce to Rune Chant if you've activated Spellbound Creepers this turn. It's just, and then you're setting up, you have 2 Rune Chant tokens. You're probably going to have 1 or 2 counters, bind counters on Spellbound Creepers now, so then you have 2 instances of arcane damage to hopefully keep your Spellbound Creepers alive. It's just so cool, and I don't ever see anybody mention it. But we'll go over the deck real quick. So kind of like the core strategy here is to really rely on Spellbound Creepers to give you go again on a lot of stuff, because if you notice, most of these attacks do not have go again. There's a few, like, Swarming Gloomveil will almost certainly have go again, and Rune Flash will have go again, but a lot of these other attack action cards are discounted based off of how many Rune Chants you have. So Rune Chant generation is very, very important in Viserai. This deck is a little bit weaker to Prism because you really only have 4. There's only like 4 Phantasm Poppers, but that's okay because you're going to be kind of racing them anyways. But yeah, your mileage may vary with this deck. I'm still going to tweak it a little bit and figure out what I can cut to add more 6 attack action cards and stuff like that. But just going over the list, it's pretty straightforward. A lot of these cards are literally just really well statted for the discounted price, right? So like potentially a 0 for 6 that blocks for 3. That's absolutely insane. But more than likely it's going to be like 2 or 3, or sorry, 1 or 2 for 6, which is still really good. And then you can give it go again with your Spellbound Creepers if you need to. I'm also running 3 of the blue lead the charges, because so many of our attack action cards have cost 2 or greater, so they will trigger and gain us an action point here as well, which is really cool. I'm thinking about cutting the Arcanite Ascendancy. It's pretty cool, but you're almost never going to get 6 Rune Chants, especially when you have this card in hand, so probably going to pull the plug on that one. Command and Conquer is just good. These red Amplify the Arcanites are really good, but they're also, like I said, your primary Phantasm Poppers, so just keep that in mind. Oh, Consuming Volition. What a great card. So it's 4 attack for 1 cost, and it blocks for 3. It does not have go again, but like I said, you can give it go again. And then if you've dealt or deal arcane damage this turn, Consuming Volition gains. If it hits a hero, they discard a card. So you are going to get a card out of their hand regardless, right? So they either have to overblock with 2 cards, play a defense reaction, or they're going to lose a card from hand when it hits, right? So you're getting at least 1 card out of their hand no matter what, with very few exceptions. Maybe they play a defense reaction from Arsenal, but that's very rare. So that's a good trade here, especially if you can give it go again. Drawn to the Dark Dimension. This is another really cool one. Like I said, gets discounted based off of how many Rune Chants you have, but you also draw a card when you cast this. So if you draw a non-attack action card with go again, and you have the resources for Creepers, you can play this card and then play the non-attack action you drew to give this card go again, if that makes sense. So that's a really cool interaction with that one. But I mean, most of the time it's just a 0 for 3, draw a card that blocks for 3. Rune Flash, same deal. It blocks for 3. So if you notice, most of these cards block for 3. It's basically going to be like a 0 or 1 for 4 with go again. There's a Runeblade card, so hopefully we'll get a Rune Chant out of Viserai. Shrill of Skullform, really straightforward card. If you've played or created an aura, which includes Rune Chants, this card is 7 for 2 that blocks for 3. So pretty good. And then you have the whole suite here. So like the blues, for instance, is a blue card, so it pitches for 3, blocks for 3, and then almost 99% of the time when you play this card, it's going to be 5 for 2. So that's pretty good. Spellblade Assault is only here because it creates 2 Rune Chant tokens, so it makes Drawn to the Dark Dimension free. Rune Flash and Amplify the Arcanite cost 1. It's also good for Swarming Gloomveil, which is the next card on here, because then it makes Swarming Gloomveil a 4 for 0 go again, at the very least. Or, I'm sorry, it gets all 3 because... Well, no, it doesn't, because you have to play a non-attack action card. But at the very least, though, it's going to be... Well, I guess you're going to have to play the non-attack to give this go again, so it's going to have all 3, because you're going to be playing this card, getting another Rune Chant from Viserai, so you're going to be creating 3 off of this, which fully maxes out all the triggers for Swarming Gloomveil. This card, another very, very good card, right? So, if you've played or created one or more, so first off, the blocks for 3, costs 0, attacks for 3 by itself. If you played or created one or more auras this turn, and like I said, Rune Chants are auras, but we also have some other auras like, Rune Blood Incantation and stuff like that. If you play one or more against Go Again, which is great. If you've created 2 or more against +1, making it 4 for 0 with Go Again, like I said. And then the final one is really cool. So if it hits a hero, if you've created 3 or more and it hits a hero, they cannot prevent arcane damage from any sources you control this turn. So if you follow up Swarming Gloomveil, which you're going to create a Rune Chant from this, follow it up with Rosetta Thorne, that's 3 unblockable arcane damage just right there. There's just the pressure that Viserai can bring is just otherworldly. Vexing Malice is a blue that blocks for 3. I mean, that's really all you're going to use it for. The arcane, 2 arcane damage is also very good, but like I said, you're mostly going to be pitching with this card and occasionally blocking with it. Rosetta Thorne, everybody knows what this card does at this point. If you've played a non-attack and attack action card this turn, it deals 2 arcane damage when you attack with it, and it attacks for 2. Just super good card. Tunic, also phenomenal for this if you don't have the resources in hand to play this as your turn finisher. You can pop your your tokens off of Tunic and use it. So we've already touched on Reduce to Rune Chant, but basically you're almost always going to have a Rune Chant because you're probably going to be playing a Runeblade attack action as your last kind of thing, and then you're going to be creating a Rune Chant from that. But if you don't have a Rune Chant, you can also, like I said, potentially cheat one out with Spellbound Creepers, playing something that creates a non-attack action that creates a Rune Chant token. Become the Arknight is just tutor whatever you want out of your deck. Super good, especially if you know the combo that you need to finish the game. This card, I put this in here, but this is a very meme-y kind of thing. So this says... so it has Go Again, so you can use this in combination with Spellbound Creepers to gain an action point or essentially give your attack action Go Again. And then also, it's an aura for all the things that care about aura creation. And it says when an attack action card you control hits, destroy this card and create 3 Rune Chant tokens. And whenever your hero is dealt damage, you destroy this card. So you can play this on your opponent's turn if you want, if you think you can mitigate all the damage they're going to deal to you and just have this active at the start. Or you can place it instant speed after an attack is already... So if they decide they're not going to block it, you can instant speed, throw this out, and then this will resolve first because it's an instant. And then your attack will resolve. You can place that instant speed after they've already, declared blocks and everything. And then just essentially get 3 free Rune Chants for 1 cost. Lead the charges here, like I said, because most of your attack actions are going to have at least a cost of 2. Super good to just string several attacks, back to back, and discount them. Maverine's Guise is probably the best Runeblade non-attack action card. Just absolutely good. It says the next Runeblade attack action card you play this turn gains Go Again, and if it hits, create 3 Rune Chant tokens for the red and 2 and 1 for the yellow and blue respectively, and it has Go Again on it. So you can effectively dupe action points with this. There's a lot of cool interactions, but most of the time you're going to play this and it will give your attack action cards Go Again, and it also turns on Viserai for creating Rune Chants. Mordred Tide is phenomenal, blocks for 3, and until end of turn, if you would create a Rune Chant token, instead create that many +1. So you're gonna, every time you play a Runeblade card after this card, Viserai is gonna create you 2 Rune Chant tokens. Just superb card. Rattle Bones, like we said, basically gets your best attack action card from your graveyard, and you can conditionally play this at instant speed and gain an action point, even without Spellbound Creepers. Revel in Runeblood. I am so sorry, guys. This video is quite long at this point, but Revel in Runeblade is really cool because if you've played an attack action card and another non-attack action card this turn, you create 4 Rune Chant tokens. So at the beginning of your end phase, you destroy all Rune Chants all Rune Chants you control, so you definitely want to be able to pop those Rune Chants this turn. But, you know, just 0 cost, create 4 Rune Chants, and this has Go Again stapled on it. This card is literally meant to go with Spellbound Creepers. So, like, if you play a non-attack action card and then play an attack action card, you can play this in response to the, or if you've played this card and you've already played an attack action but you haven't played another non-attack action card, you can Spellbound Creepers, instant speed, play your non-attack action card, and then create 4 Rune Chants like that. You know, there's so many cool interactions with this card. You can play an attack action card and then follow it up with Revel in Runeblood, and then pop Spellbound, play another Revel in Runeblood, and create 8 tokens, and then like follow up with Rosetta Thorne for 10 arcane damage, 2 regular damage for 1 cost, effectively, or 2 with Spellbound Creepers. This card can get really nutty. It's really good for combos. Runeblood Incantation. This is a really good card. You can also, so like I said, you can play cards on your opponent's turn. So like turn 0. So if your opponent goes first, you can actually play this card. You can block an attack action card and then play this card from hand. So you just have this Rune Chant generator just on the field at the beginning of the game. Sonata Arcanix, not as good now that Scaletta, whatever, is banned, but still just a good source of kind of drawing cards, dealing arcane damage. It's a good card. It's very good. Sorry I'm rushing through these cards. I'm just trying to get this under 20 minutes. Oh, mission failed. Oh well. Tome of the Arknight is good because you have a very healthy balance. So if you've noticed, it's 35 attack actions and 34 non-attack actions. So you have a high likelihood of getting this trigger. So for a blue card that pitches for 3, you can pay 1 and effectively pay 1 to draw 2 with Go Again. And once again, this works with Spellbound Creepers because it has Go Again stapled on it, so you can effectively give your attack action cards Go Again, and potentially draw 2 cards for 2 resources. So that's the deck. I will have more updates for you guys on the Viserai armor and everything soon. But if you have any questions about like certain interactions with Viserai or how to play him, or if you think some cards are better, if you have deck building suggestions, anything like that, make sure you leave it down in the comments below and I will take a look and get back to you. But until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope that you will join me again next time.